Tzoraas. Zos Tzoraas a Metzoira b'yom Tarasai. We know that it's explained according to Chassidus that the purification of the Metzoira, the one who has Tzoraas, is connected. The Indian is connected with the Indian of the Geula. So what do we find? Our current situation has been mentioned by others. Others have noticed it, that the Metzoira, what happens when he discovers that he's not yet even the Metzoira, he's just discovered that he has this lesion, this nega. So first thing is that he's put into isolation. He's put into isolation for 7 days and for another 7 days. Right now, in anybody who comes from abroad to the United States, to Israel, they have to spend 14 days in isolation because they might have the disease, the virus. So too, the Metzoira, 14 days, 13 actually days, because the middle day is goes both counts, but in any event, it's almost 2 weeks to sit and be alone. And if he's diagnosed that he does have, the Kohen sees that it is Tzoraas, he has to go outside the camp and sit alone. The whole idea of being bidud, of being alone, isolation, this is connected with the Indian of the Metzoira. So there are those who might say, it speaks of the lowly state of the people in our generation, that Hashem put all of us into bidud, all of us into isolation. But we learn Chassidus, and we know that explained by the Alter Rebbe, and the Rebbe explains it even in greater depth in the Dvar Malchus, that the Indian of a Metzoira is something actually very lofty. As the Rambam says, we don't have Tzoraas in our day. There's no physical disease Tzoraas that we have in our day, because this is something that's only in the times when the Yidden are on a high level. So what is Tzoraas? Tzoraas is something that's shaykh to a person who's finished all of his berurim on the inside. All that's left is the berurim that's on the edge of his garments. Garments in Chassidus, machshav dibur ma'aseh. That means that he's finished everything inside. Now he just has to do the externals. He's almost at the end of his of all of what he has to do to be in a state of geula. We find ourselves now in this situation, that each one of us has a situation like a Metzoira, and is meant to give us time to think and reflect. And of course, everyone has what to think and what to reflect on. As Rebbe says in Parshas Noach Nun Beis, that the fact that the Avodas Haburim of Klal Yisrael for all the generations is done, it doesn't mean that each one of us doesn't have our own pekel, our own things that we have to reflect upon and do a cheshbon tzedek, but that we do it in a way that we know that the work is easier, and we can do it b'simcha. So we all have to do a cheshbon tzedek, but we can do it b'simcha, and realize that we are at the end of Golus, and Hashem is taking us out of Golus, and giving us a chance now to you have to stay in the house, but send the garbage out. Do a little cheshbon tzedek, decide what needs to be put out, and put it out. And I bring to attention one nekuda that is very noteworthy. That in Tanya, in Igeres HaKodesh, the Alter Rebbe speaks of the flow of blood. That the flow of the blood in the body is a sign of health, and that if the blood will flow from the heart to a limb, and the limb will not return the blood to the heart, so this is illness. Now the Rebbe, in what's the famous sikh of Beis Nissen, Taf Mem Ches, the Rebbe speaks about the need of the declaration, Yechi Hamelech, by David HaMelech, it says many times in Tanakh that the people called Yechi Hamelech David, that this, Rebbe explains how this gives life to the king, that the king is the heart of the entire nation, as the Rambam says, and that just like the heart pumps blood to the limbs, to each limb, so each limb has to return the blood to the heart. How is this done? This is done through the declaration of Yechi Hamelech. So it turns out that the failure of a limb to return blood to the heart, which is illness, as Alter Rebbe says, so this is connected with the inyan of Yechi Hamelech. If a limb receives his life from the king, but doesn't say Yechi Hamelech to the king, he's not returning the life to the king. It's illness, inyan of illness. And more than inyan of illness, but it says in Likutei Torah, it says in a few places in Chassidus, Tzemach Tzedek, that what is the sign of Tzoraas is that the skin turns white, as we know. So what is it explained? That whiteness is because of the lack of blood. That this is exactly the inyan of circulation, that the blood is pumped from the heart to the limb, and the limb is not returning the blood to the heart, therefore it has a white spot, an absence of blood, because it's not returning the blood to the heart, and that's Tzoraas. So what does it turn out? That Tzoraas is a disease of the failure of the limbs to return the blood that they've received from the heart back to the heart, which the Rebbe explains that's the inyan of the life, the chaim that the king bestows and sends to all the limbs. The limbs have to return it. How do they return it? By the declaration, Yechi Hamelech. So therefore, part of our Cheshbon Tzedek, each one of us, should be on how well we are fulfilling in the role of a limb, which is not just to receive the blood, but to return it to the heart, which the Rebbe says is the inyan of Yechi Hamelech, Yechi Adoneinu Moreinu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Le'olam Voed.